What we're going to be rating today is how toxic you are based on your main. I'm going to give my opinion, and then you can have your opinion without cursing me out and calling me bronze, calling me ugly, calling me brain dead. However, this will all be based upon my experiences both on the internet and in the game of Marvel Rivals itself. So yes, I am going to be stereotyping based off of my experiences. Mr. Fantastic. I don't think many people are excited to see a Mr. Fantastic when they first choose him because he's just so niche of a DPS character. And I think in order to get past that initial viewing of Mr. Fantastic, it takes someone who is mature. I think you somewhat embody the character. Mr. Fantastic, leader of the Fantastic Four, even though he ultimately screwed them over with his actions to give them all the powers, especially the Thing. However, I've seen this multiple times where in competitive, Wolverine gets banned 90% of the games that you play in the competitive where you can allow bans. Where I've seen Wolverines get mad that even the other team banned Wolverine, so it was not in your team's control whatsoever, and they're like, I'm gonna play Mr. Fantastic out of pure anger. So it's kind of like a mix of Wolverine and Mr. Fantastic there. So there's some level of immaturity to pick him to begin with, and then you just kind of have to deal with the hardships of people yelling at you because they're afraid initially of how you're going to perform. I'm going to put him in C. I guess I should name these tiers. So we've come up with our names. We have Screaming and Rage, Unloved, therefore not loving, aka toxic. We have A, Pleasure by Toxicity, berates 50% of the time. C for chooses to hold back toxicity. D for delightful gamers. And I guess E for E, what does it mean to cause pain? After 5 long years, Lady Gaga has finally released a new solo album, and let's just say you wanted to listen to it, maybe while you're doing groceries, you're taking your dog on a walk, you can do this all comfortably with Raycon earbuds. You can really just switch to isolation mode to immerse yourself into the beat while selecting a nice loaf of bread, all while forgetting about the fact that Lady Gaga's agent is pretty awful at finding movies for her to star in. Talk about rough. But what's not rough is the sound quality from these. Active noise cancellation can be hard to find affordably, but it's all here with Raycon earbuds. You can listen to the Gaga new album or multiple new albums with a 32-hour battery time. Now that you've gotten your bread to buy, you can tap to go into awareness mode while you're in line and tap again to pause while you're talking to the cashier. All the while fitting super comfortably in your ear, resisting sweat and water. This right here is a protective case that has multiple designs online and it has wireless charging. You can buy Raycons at half the price of other premium brands if you just go to buyraycon.com/saltyfish to get 20% off everything site-wide. That includes 20% off all the headphones too. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Let's go with Jeff. Jeffs, in their nature, cause a lot of people to be upset. It's kind of difficult to predict a Jeff ulting, okay? And I think a Jeff is very aware that they can just hit the button, swallow everyone, and it's even worse that they hold you in their stomach, and there's literally nothing you can do. Once you're eaten, there's no jumping out of it. You can't mash out of it like Smash Bros. No, and then to add the icing onto the cake, you are then not just killed, you are thrown off of the map. A lot of people hate Jeff. Now, Jeff mains, I think they're aware of this. And I think that a lot of the times the only way that you can really carry as a Jeff is, unfortunately, if you go DPS Jeff. Now, the thing about picking Jeff in Marvel Rivals is you play support, you pick a support character, your team is going to assume, oh, we already have one support covered out of the at least 2 that we usually need. Then our other healer is going to heal, but then they don't expect you to go DPS right off the bat. Everybody hates you pretty quickly. However, out of the time I've been absolutely cooked by a Jeff, they kind of just destroy you and then stay silent. But I think they're very aware of what they're doing. It's kind of like the whole idea of I'll let my gameplay do the talking. So we're going to go berates 50% of the time. Bit more toxic than Mr. Fantastic. Penny. You play Penny on defense. You're doing a good job. You want to keep on playing Penny on attack. I haven't seen many Pennies blame the other players. I feel like, okay, there's 2 different ways that this could happen. Either the Penny stays quiet, the team blames Penny, or the person is on Penny for the sole reason that they know it's not the strongest attacker-based character. And I think that some Penny mains are aware of this, and the whole just stopping pretty much every ult at any moment. You can stun somebody every 3 seconds, and this stun can stop abilities, more importantly ultimates or movement. The amount of times that I see Pennies get cocky when this little right click that's a fast shooting stun that has a huge hitbox, if you shoot in the general direction that you get every 3 seconds, they get so cocky that this is an ability that they can just use. I think we're gonna put them as a bit more toxic than Jeff. No, We'll do 51% of the time. Just so it's that much higher on the scale, okay? Wolverines. Now, this is going back to my Mr. Fantastic point. We should revisit that. I've seen a lot of Wolverines before they even say anything, before they even choose Wolverine as their selected hero, before the bans even come up in comp. They don't say anything. Wolverine gets banned because it gets banned 90% of the time. It's your fault. I'm throwing. I'm gonna pick Rocket Raccoon. I'm gonna pick Jeff, aka just a character that has nothing to do with Wolverine, doesn't play similar at all, and I'm gonna throw this. In game, I mean, you're aware that you just destroyed a specific group of tanks. I've heard many times Wolverine sometimes say, ban Magneto, I'm the greatest Wolverine ever, and most of the time they're not the greatest Wolverine ever. Censored pleasure by toxicity. I just see a lot of tank damaging when it comes to Wolverine. Okay, Moonknight, my comment, I was about to say something very childish, but at the same time, I love Moonknight. Big Moonknight guy, big Moonknight player on DPS. The thing about Moonknight, I think a lot of these edgy characters, to me, as a 27-year-old man, they appear very, very cute. They have these deep voices. You can't see their faces. They're very edgy. They just appear so cute to me. It's like, it's cute how much they're trying. But then the other people that see Moonknight, aka like children, they're like, oh, this guy's so cool and edgy. It feels like a lot of the time when I'm reading Moonknight messages, it's being typed by an 11-year-old, whether that's complaining or just blaming your team. That's just the vibe that I get. And I think that his look kind of attracts that type of audience to play him. So let's also associate it with the fact that he had one of the most broken ults in the game. There was literally a bug on how much damage it did. It's kind of like the Peni effect where they get cocky because of this one ultimate. Let's talk about Rocket Raccoon. This is biased. I know a lot of people are going to say forced Rocket hate. It makes me upset. I am with Loki main. Now, when you think of Loki and Rocket healing on your team, that's awful. However, I will ask politely, very politely, imagine me in your comp. Can you imagine me being like, get the fuck off of Rocket, you little shit? No, I would never say that. I would say, hey, can you go Luna or Invisible Woman or Cloak? And then they say no. There have been probably 90% of the time, no, 99% of the time, I'll go one of those characters because Loki and Rocket, not a good healer duo. But then after that, I expect that when we start losing and when my team realizes it's not really working, we don't have a shooter character that really gets damage boosted from your ultimate. The res isn't being placed in a good spot most of the time. It's getting destroyed because of all the flankers. I already swapped off my character. Why can't you swap off yours? Oh no, I'm a one trick. I'm only gonna play Rocket. Yes, I know there are good Rocket mains out there, but because of the fact that I'm a Loki player and it's already cooked once I see the other support character on my team is Rocket, yeah, I'm gonna have to put you pretty far up here. Bucky, the thing that's unique about Bucky is that yes, there is a kill feed, but a good Bucky ult is basically announced to the whole server every time it continues. You're saying again, if you get team wiped and then you spawn and you hear again while you're leaving spawn, I think that's a mentally pretty defeating thing to hear. Bucky is one of those cocky players. When you get good at Bucky, it can really build into your ego. And also the whole shutting down ultimates with your little pull, that's brutal. Hooking them in and then you're not done CCing them. Then you push them into your team when they couldn't even tell. Also, you can do this with multiple people. I think that leads to a lot of toxicity. I think that we're gonna put him at the bottom of no pleasure by toxicity. Thor is aware right off the bat. You see a tank, you think of Shield, aka you think of Magneto, you think of Doctor Strange. Now, unfortunately, Thor does not have a shield. So a lot of people might blame the fact that they're taking all those bullets on the fact that, oh, I have a Thor who's not doing anything, who's not taking the damage for me. But I don't think many times in my life have I seen a Thor kind of lash back. You gotta be like the character, all strong and mighty towards all the toxicity that's thrown at you and basically not fight back. I've even seen Thors swap a lot before. They realize, oh, we need a shield. Like, I am not taking in this damage. I think I have a memory of being ulted by Thor before, and then Thor main saying, hey, my ult sucks. How are you getting hit by that? We're gonna put them as delightful. That's the only negative thing that I can think of them, but they're not perfect. Black Widow, I'd like to put them on high toxicity for the sole reason that you're playing Black Widow, you're throwing, you don't swap off Black Widow. It's kind of associated as one of the bad characters. However, a Black Widow that's good, the worst thing that you can face in the game. They're just destroying your team. They don't say a word till the end. And then that one thing that they say, at the end. I think most of the time, I think I've seen this on multiple occasions, is, yeah, I'd hop into aim labs every now and then. It's just so evil. I think the fact that you don't really swap off once you're losing on Black Widow, it's pretty difficult to do well. And then carrying, silence until the end, and then aim labs comment. Yup! I think we're going to talk about Adam Warlock. And I think what makes Adam Warlock not the toxic type of main, his whole ultimate, his whole flashy ability, his whole like, oh, that was a great ultimate, is when you bring back the team. And most of the time, you're not in the throwing mindset. You want to bring back the team. You're literally making up for the mistakes that your team made. The only mistake that you have to make is not being found, kind of being good at hiding at the end of a team fight. I personally have no idea how to do that. This is a big thing also. You get mad when you die multiple times in a row. However, it's kind of difficult to get mad when your ability is just like, oh, I have a second life. When I was trying to learn them, I was like, oh, I died. Oh, wait, I can just come back, because who's going to follow my body for, what is it? I think it's like an absurd time, maybe 12 seconds that you can wait around in ghost form and then revive. Adam Warlock's not the most toxic. We'll talk about Iron Man next. Iron Man is extremely strong on his own right now if you know how to play him. I've only seen a handful of Iron Mans in competitive and in quick play. And I don't think I've heard a word come out of those Iron Man players. I think they have to be quiet because they're so loud in the air now with the nerf that they got, where they announce their presence if you're near them. I think we're going to put them on Delightful, and I'm something of an Iron Man player. I think I'm somewhat biased. We want to see Groot next. I've witnessed Groot players get big ults, however, in a bad situation, and immediately yell at their team saying, this is your fault. Just shoot at them. I did my part. Just because a team is grouped up together doesn't mean you can kill them instantly. I've survived many Groot ults myself. I think that kind of associates you with Maywalling, picking off people so that they're separated from their team, and then suddenly your 6v6 turns into a 6v1. That just seems awful. And the blaming thing, yeah, I think a lot of the Groots just assume, oh, I hit a big ult, now it's guaranteed we win. And if the opposite happens, that you don't win off of that, it turns toxic pretty quick. But I don't think all the time. 51% of the time. Hela players are mean, dude. Some Hela players that I've seen out there are super freaking mean, especially during where she was meta, get banned all the time. If she wasn't banned, oh my goodness, it would just turn into which Hela is better, and therefore just the words thrown that Hela's back and forth would be stuff that I can't repeat. This is a good example of becoming the character. God of Death, probably a pretty mean person, and she is mean in the lore. Chat, this might be our first screaming enraged unloved, therefore not loving, aka toxic. I think a lot of people also see Hela as a broken character, and so when people think they're losing, they swap to her out of rage, and that rage kind of still carries over. Yeah, I think this is gonna be our first screaming enraged unloved, therefore not loving, aka toxic. You know what I've noticed with the Luna Snow players? I think in character, very ooh-woo, pop star, I'm Luna Snow, teehee type character. The ultimate, enraging. It stops basically every ultimate in the game. I think though a lot of the times, Luna Snows are afraid for when they mess up their ultimate. When you get a good ultimate, there's not really saying like, yeah, I saved your life. That's something I don't hear a lot. I think it's just more quietness. I don't think there's many times where I've been bashed by a Luna Snow. Below Iron Man on Delightful Gamers. Now, however, I don't know why, I get the same vibe from Invisible Woman in terms of like, oh, very cute character, like teehee, but the player, no, for some reason it's so different. Maybe it's the whole idea that you can go invisible and just absolutely screw anybody up by just appearing in front of them and then pulling them away. It gives a lot of power to the player when you can just literally be invisible. I do see this difference in personality versus Luna Snow. I think we're gonna put them up here above Groot. It's just that whole I can be invisible and you can't. Let's do Psylocke next. What I've noticed about Psylocke's character is I think it's very sneaky to be able to do this, but if you catch somebody who is just strafing back and forth, not going side to side at all, it is very easy to line up your crosshair in the exact movement, so you don't even have to move it. Click, click, right click, dash, dead in like before they even have time to react. You can insta kill them. It's very easy with Psylocke, I think, to even get out of the battle and type something as soon as you kill somebody. There have been moments where I've seen a Psylocke kind of pick on somebody, one specific person, kill them, literally use their kit to get back to safety, type one word as simple as trash, and that's it. I'm gonna have to put them right below Black Widow. Cloak and Dagger. Two good things that you notice easily with a Cloak and Dagger: if they have good ults, and if they can stop the enemy from ults with their cloak. Now, unfortunately, when you have that in the back of your mind, if you don't get saved by an ultimate, it's pretty quick to put the blame on them. But I don't know why. Out of all a bunch of healers that we've listed so far, I've seen so much complainings from Cloak and Daggers. There's not really too many comms, I think, that are easy to make. I think a lot of gamers are afraid to comm in general, call. And I guess one thing that you could call is I'm blinding them. You don't really need to announce when you're cloaking. It's just kind of like, oh, I've been cloaked. I think it's just the character that Cloak and Dagger doesn't really say a lot. And then when they do, it's kind of like complaining. And I don't think that's their fault. I think it's just like the kid a little bit. I'll put them on right above Psylocke. There we go. Yeah. I think that's fair. Here's the thing. A big part of his kit is you literally need a teammate to be peeking you, or else you'll die. People will see things that won't die. You're shooting at them. It doesn't feel like he's taking any damage whatsoever. That's because they're constantly using their ability that like jumps into your teammate. You get like this huge shield on you. It's temporary. And then you get a second one. And then by then you're just like, okay, I should leave the fight. You know, you have your dash out or your charging ability you used to get out or whatever it is. I don't know the order. However, if you don't have a team constantly peeking the thing, dude, she's gonna die. And I've seen things get pretty upset if you're not peeking him. Even when you announce to your team somebody peek him, but then they're never like, okay, maybe it should be me. I've seen things get pretty upset at that. And I don't think that they like to switch off of it because he's another, in my opinion, I think he's the strongest of the fun tanks right now. I feel like a really good thing is good. Now, when I say fun tank, I mean a tank that doesn't really shield, kind of like Doctor Strange, Magneto, or Groot. Kind of like the not so meta tanks. That's what I consider the fun tanks. I'm gonna put him right below Bucky. Venom. Let me think of Venom. Let's take into account another, quote, fun tank in my eyes. Swinging around at the speed of sound with Spider-Man, enabling Spider-Man with the team up. I think since Venom doesn't really have a team coordinated ability as much as a thing, you kind of dive in, and if you're dying and not getting any kills, it's kind of difficult to get mad at anyone else but yourself. If you're diving somebody, you're probably initiating it, and if you mess up, most Venom players are aware it's on them. I don't really see Venoms get upset. Plus, there's the whole you can run on the wall, and that just looks really silly. And I think that if you have a silly ability, it high key, without even people knowing it, contributes to how mad or how happy you are playing the game. I don't think they're as mature as a Thor player, but lower on the chooses to hold back toxicity. Magik? Oh, dude, Magics are bullies. Most of the time, I think they're the loudest out of all of them. Not very chill. I think even if you try to counter a Magik, they will call you out for swapping Namor and then call Namor no skill. Yeah, I think they're pretty quick to start getting upset when you counter Magik. Kind of dives in, kills you, and is mean about it. Okay, wait. I've thought of a new opinion because I'm realizing all these other heroes, I don't associate Magik up there, but I think that when a Magik is mean, I don't think it's the worst type of things. You know, I don't think they jump to racism, for example. I think they're just like, haha, got you, but it'll still, you know, when you're dying to them multiple times, that's the type of shit that can throw you over the edge. So for that, top of berates 51% of the time. Mantis players are mean as well. I think a strong Mantis means that you can aim, you know how to damage boost while at the same time mostly damage boosting yourself and then taking your aim into account and actually doing something that your DPS can't. Mantises are mean, but in order to be the DPS that you want to be, you heal yourself by healing others. I've only started playing Mantis recently, so correct me if I'm wrong, but for the most part, yeah, I'd say out of the healers, Mantis is definitely up there. I've seen some dirty comments come from a Mantis player, not as much as Rocket. Behind Bucky, but above the thing. There is being humble in video games, and Punisher is not humble. The way that they play, it's not even like the way that they act, it's just the way that they play. Just the look on their face kind of makes them appear more mean than they actually are. Yeah, I think that people get upset because of the whole Rocket team up. He feels invincible with the rapid fire shotgun and the freaking normal gun that he uses. Maybe here's the thing about Punisher. Since he's so aim focused, if you're hitting your shots, the characters are dying probably, and if they're not, then you're not prioritizing, but at the end of the day, you can still say that you hit your shots, you have a lot of damage, and if there's no kills to go with that, you can just say, oh yeah, nobody got any kills because we were losing the whole game, nobody was going to get any kills, but I was contributing the most because I was in the back line, just aiming. Let's go with berates above Jeff. Friendly neighborhood spider. This is tough. There's a lot of people in this world that want to be Spider-Man, and unfortunately there's only a small handful of those people that can actually claim that they are Spider-Man. People know that Spider-Man is a bit difficult to master, but a lot of people think that if they watch a Necros guide, then they know everything there is to know. Even when I have a Spider-Man that's popping off on my team, they're aware, like, oh, this is kind of a difficult hero to play, and I'm whooping your ass doing it. I think, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put Spider-Man as pretty toxic, pretty up there. If you can thrive your character that is difficult for most people to play, that doesn't end well, I think, for a lot of people. I fear that we have to move Rocket up because this is starting to get like too comfortable placing people up here. Loki? Okay, I'm kind of biased here. I am a Loki player. Chat, do you think that I'm toxic? There's no way in hell that I'm toxic. You've seen me solo queue and rank. If there's someone shitting on another player, it's never me doing that. I'll say GG, nice try. If I know that there is some Iron Fist who's going 2-8, that would never be me. I don't participate in these actions. Second of all, I don't really see a lot of Loki players because I'm the Loki player. Now, the thing about Loki is that in order to be good at him, you have to kind of know how a lot of the other characters play. I struggle with this too, actually. Maybe I'm basing this off myself. You gotta know when to switch off, and I think a lot of times you don't. I see a Bucky on the enemy team, and I probably don't swap until after he against 17 times. I think that's the issue, but I've never seen a Loki flame somebody. If you do an ultimate, once again, it's one of those things where it announces to the whole server how you're doing with your ultimate. If you hear, it's my favorite time, aka it's clobbering time, when you're Loki, most of the time that kind of makes your teammates shake their heads. I'm very biased. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put Loki as a delightful gamer under Thor. Unfortunately, under Thor. Okay, Captain America. This is another one of those. I think Captain America would hate their mains. He gets to go running around really fast. You get to throw your shield around. You get to dive in kind of like Venom. You even have a shield that you can use to deflect damage if you're not even hitting them enough. But unfortunately, while you're doing all of that, you're not guarding your teammates directly in their eyes. I feel like with Caps a lot of the time, sometimes it feels like a throw pick in my eyes. I love a good Captain America. I've been spanked by Captain America many times, both in and out of the game, okay? But I think they're very vocal about their feelings when your team starts losing. I think I'm gonna put him right down here. And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna swap this over here. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is a difficult character to be good at. They can carry, I think, in specific elos, but a big reason that Scarlet Witch can thrive is off of a huge ability that she gives to Magneto. I understand that it was nerfed since the beta, but Magneto gets a big sword that just allows him to decimate the enemy even more than he already does. And I think when that happens, if you have a good Magneto paired with you, you kind of think, oh, I'm on this, once again, Spider-Man effect, this hard to play character. But the difference between Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man is that you're also making a really good character by playing this bad character. This is like the drunk rich kid that's getting kicked out of the club and he's being like, you'll hear from my father. I think that's exactly how I see Scarlet Witch mains. I think for that, I'm going to put them on. Which brings me to my next character, Magneto. I think Magneto is a mature pick. That's the thing. It's a very safe option for a tank. He has so much protection abilities. He has a literal shield and you have a literal bubble. It's not as free to use as Zarya's bubbles in Overwatch. I think it stays even longer. I think it's very powerful. So I see Magneto's as mature sometimes, but with that safe pick, it's easy to say, well, I swapped to Magneto, or I'm the safe pick. Why aren't you doing your part, other safe pickers? I'm practicing safe and you guys aren't. What's wrong with you, Scarlet Witch? Now you're pregnant with a man who it's not in the world anymore. He ghosted you. What's up with that, daughter? I thought I warned you about this when you were younger. And now I have to raise this kid, just like I had to raise this dog that you said that you would walk every morning and every night, and then you only walked him probably twice a week. What's up with that? I think for this reason, we put Magneto at chooses to hold back toxicity. Namors are kind of whiny. Out of just meta in general, he's a counter to many of the fun characters. He counters all the divey people like Spider-Man, Psylocke, Black Panther, Magik. Usually you're picking Namor because just like, I want to ruin the fun, or I want to stop this person from popping off by playing your direct counter. So I just see them as kind of whiny. I don't know if it's more toxic. Yeah, it's kind of just complaining, and they spam I need heal. You know what? Yes. As a matter of fact, that's a big point. Thank you for pointing that out, because their whole like, I'm gonna go into my big ball in my safe bubble up in the sky. I'm such an easy target to hit. Oh my god, I didn't just bubble in a completely separate room for my healers where they can't see into the ceiling of the separate room that I'm in because of my positioning, and then they pop out of the bubble. They're like, you had 6 whole seconds to heal me while I was standing completely still. Why didn't you heal me? Namors are pretty up there. I'm gonna put them below Bucky. Okay, we have to move this around. I think we have to move this around, unfortunately. I'm changing my mind about Mantis. Next, Squirrel Girl. Very safe picking option when you first play the game. But I think that Squirrel Girls are pretty just goofy in general. Kind of like their character. At the end of the day, you're staring at a freaking squirrel tail all day, and then you have her speaking in her goofy voice all the time, jumping around. There's literally a boing sound when she jumps. And then you get to access that boing sound again with the ability. I don't think I've seen many serious Squirrel Girls that are just like, oh, we aren't winning? It's your fault. I'm gonna put Squirrel Girl at E. What does it mean to cause pain? Next character, Iron Fist. I fear that I've seen many toxic Iron Fists that are very loud for some reason. And you know what? I don't know why. I don't really have a good argument to back this up. He just feels the meanest out of the dive characters. Maybe just because he's just popular and therefore it's more likelihood that somebody being toxic than being like, oh my God, that was such a good play, bro. Oh, the way that you clicked your mouse on that guy's head, that was sick. I've seen Iron Fist drop slurs before. I've definitely reported a few, but at the same time, it's kind of goofy. That's the only reason they're at the bottom of Screaming and Rage Unloved, therefore not loving, aka toxic. Starlord's the whole I'm invincible when I click a button. I can have that multiple times in one life to even dodge ultimates. It feels mean, and the guy's cocky. Starlord as a character. I think sometimes Starlords feel like, oh, Starlord just said something very cocky in game. I don't even need to type something. His ultimate line is just... It's so obnoxious. I think I've seen a lot of the times after a Starlord will get a really good ultimate, they'll scream in all chat, legendary, just to rub it in, just to kick that last ounce of dirt in your eyes. I'm gonna put them right above Namor. Black Panther. Okay, I think Black Panthers are pretty chill most of the time. Still, at the end of the day, divey character that if you're not good at them, you can die most of the time. There is a direct counter to him from a lot of characters. You got Bucky, you got Namor. So there is room to be enraged. But I think that out of all the dive characters, I think Black Panthers most of the time are the most chill. I think the only reason that we'd put them on the top half of this board is that they don't swap off. I really do imagine out of these other characters that I don't see a Black Panther saying as much. I think I'm going to place him below Shark, kind of for the whole, I'm not going to swap, but maybe I'm not going to curse you out. I think people have had horrible interactions with Johnny Storm, but I personally haven't. You know what I've heard from Johnny Storms a lot? I've heard, let me give this guy a go. If it works, I'll swap. Because the thing about Johnny Storm is he's a flying character who isn't as strong right now, in my opinion, as the other flying character, like Storm or even Iron Man. And when you're kind of dying, it's pretty easy to die as a flying character when you don't have like S-tier freaking eternity healers. So you swap off. So I'm going to put Johnny as chooses to hold back because I haven't seen too many toxic ones. Let's do Hawkeye. Just not a big fan of them. For some reason, I just don't like these bow and arrow characters. I don't know where this idea has sparked from. They're not as bad as Black Widow or Cloak and Dagger or Psylocke or Moonknight. No, not as bad as Starlord. Not as whiny as Namor. A bit more than Scarlet Witch. Okay, Hulk is a big enabler for one specifically, but two characters. One, them being very meta, very powerful. A lot of people like to play him. I'm talking about Doctor Strange. And I think that Hulk at the end of the day is just like, I'm doing this for you, okay? I know you want me. I literally know you need my green gamma energy, okay? I do think he also has the funny, haha, I'm gonna ult. You hit ult again, he starts freaking slamming you down, WWE style. I don't think he's the most toxic. I really don't. I don't think he's as toxic as the Thing. It's hard because he also is another thing where he gets banned so much that you don't see it too often. I don't think, not really. I think if anything, they're like, I'm helping my team out. I'm doing this for my team. And it's just a plus if you like to play Hulk. I would put them bottom of Delightful, maybe. Now, Strange is a very wide group of players, okay? And because of that, I've seen the mean ones, I've seen the wholesome ones, I've seen the strategy. Well, that's a healer. No, I shouldn't say that. I've seen the tactically gifted Stranges and I've seen the feeders. But what do I associate Strange with? It's leaning towards toxic because Stranges are aware that they have an ability that's on an 180-second cooldown. And sometimes they can be so upset that they can make a portal and then make it lead to bump nowhere, unfortunately. And you know, when you're Eye of Agamottoing somebody, that's, in my opinion, I think that's one of the most disrespectful ults to solo ult somebody with. You're supposed to jump into the whole team, hit Q and pray that it hits them all because it's in just a radius. When you Eye of Agamotto somebody individually, that's a
massive middle finger. I like to put him in B. Now our last character, Storm. Storm, very commonly banned, right? And for that reason, if a storm isn't banned, you actually get to see one. They're shooting at each other. If one storm is winning, one storm is losing. The other storm knows, yeah, get shit on. The other storm is thinking, damn, I'm being humbled right now. I better swap or I better pick my shit up. More like the gameplay is doing the talking. It's like, oh, unfortunately, we didn't ban storm. I thought I'd be the better storm, but I wasn't. And the other storm just kind of knows that. They're like, I better not talk too much smack or else people are going to realize, oh shit, my character is OP. It might get banned next game and I won't be able to have as much fun as I did this game. So I think they hold back. I think that's a perfect way of describing chooses to hold back toxicity, right smack dab in the middle. All right, I'm changing my mind about one thing just to make it look aesthetically pleasing. Psylocke, I think, is pretty similar to Magik, and they play the same way, but I don't know, I just don't see Psylocke really up here. I think I'd like to move Psylocke down. Like, I'm talking above Strange there. And actually, I want to move Black Widow down a little bit. Are we there? I think this is the final list. Now, chat, we have to tweet it. We have to tweet it, and then we can never look at Twitter again.
Click these 2 videos on the side here if you want to see more.
What I meant to say was, click these 2 videos right here for more great content. Hey, I do the
sucking off.